Well, hello everybody. It is Tuesday, and if you're here, then you are in the right place. So good to see everyone as the thing gets going, and I think it's now live. We're alive, and if you're here, well, hopefully you're alive.
Mhm.
I'm saying hopefully because, who knows? Did we lose Jenny? There she is.
No.
Good to see you, Jenny. I guess I was over here. There you are. Now you're on both screens. You're on all three screens. So we are live. Welcome, everybody. This is a second look. And if you're here, well, you have fulfilled your destiny for the day. So congratulations. Good to see everyone in the chat room. We send our love and we speak favor over you as we speak favor over us. And we speak favor to all spirits that are listening because they are here. There's a great cloud of witnesses that they tune in, and because you're tuned in. And so we say, let our reality be nothing missing, nothing broken. So much love to everyone. Good to see everyone in the chat room again. And y'all know my lovely co-host, Miss Trina Phoenix. Hello,
Hey,
Trina.
everybody.
And
Hello,
then Miss
Wayne. I'm
Jenny.
so glad.
Hello, Jenny. And
Hey.
welcome everybody else. So, I'm feeling still got this really, it's the song by Simon and Garfunkel, the 59th Street Bridge. Slow down. You move too fast. You gotta make the morning last. So
Oh
anyway,
yeah.
that just invokes that really kind of groovy feeling. You're just kind of walking and you don't have a care in the world. And it's like you're completely isolated from all the negativity that, is immersed in this realm. So I got that kind of groovy feeling.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I could finish the rest of the song out if you'd like, but the
Right?
tip jar is over there. So,
Yeah. That's a great song, too. It's got such a little
oh,
skip
it
to the
does,
beat kind of move. Yeah,
got
that's
to
a good,
make the
it's good
morning
flow.
last.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's just one of feeling groovy. La la
Yeah.
da 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 da. Feeling groovy. Hello, signpost. How you doing? Anyway, so I always got a song in my heart.
You
it's just
do.
yeah. Even in
You
the
do.
quiet time, the jukebox is still running.
Uh-huh.
How's y'all's
I,
week
Yeah.
been? Now that I've
good.
invoked the vibe here and everybody, yeah, feeling groovy, as Josh says, Mr. Floyd. So yeah, so sit
Yeah.
back,
Feeling groovy.
relax,
Great
and
song.
yeah,
That's a great vibe, too, to anchor right now. That's a really good direction to focus the consciousness in. Very,
yeah.
very good.
You know
Mhm.
what I still do? And I get the strangest looks, if we're at like a shopping center or so. I still skip.
Oh, that's so good for you.
I mean,
It
I
makes
do.
like
I do
every
too.
time.
And
It's
that
so
that
good.
sometimes I push the shopping cart really fast and I jump on top and go for a ride. People look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, it's fun.
It is fun.
It's
I do
fun.
that myself. But skipping, it's so freeing. It really is. If many of you in the chat room go out and skip today, don't buy into this that if you're over 50, it gets more difficult. That's bullshit. And if you want to get better at it, learn to walk backwards. Better yet, learn to run backwards.
I even climb stairs backwards.
See,
Yeah.
I do that
that's,
when my back's bad. I go
yeah,
up the stairs. It's so much easier on the back, when it's
yeah.
seated up.
It
Uh,
is.
it, it it's an easier movement to
Mhm.
go up backwards than it is forwards.
Yeah.
100%.
If all of us just started skipping, because we're all over the world, and,
Mhm.
it would be picked up by the mainstream media. It's like, what's happening?
I know.
And could you imagine all generations joining together when you start looking out and you see two people skipping, they think it's a movement. You start seeing a dozen people and they think it's a revolution. And
Mhm.
that's what this is. It's the skipping of the crap reality, and we're going to skip ourselves right into a new one. So,
should
Yes.
erect maypoles everywhere because there's a reason that's a strong ritual. The maypole skipping, that is a strong magic if your intent is behind it, and you know how you skip and weave in and out of one another. It would be great to just
Yeah.
have multiple poles everywhere. That would be picked up by the
Wasn't that,
media.
I can remember as a kid having maypoles. I don't see them much today.
Mm-mm.
I haven't seen
No.
any in the UK. No,
Yeah,
But
and it was really an English tradition, wasn't it?
and it's so
yeah,
funny
absolutely.
when you look at this reality like a circuit board, imagining, you erect a pole and you're weaving energy and love into the circuit board, which is Mother Earth. It's kind of
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah. And they
like
always do them in big parks and stuff where they have arches and all these neat stuff. Black Sheep was doing a program on a lot of this stuff. And it's like, that is just, I've seen that is such a potential. And it's amazing because we can learn how to actually program. And I think that's one of the ways that happens. They erect a pole, everybody dances around it, weaves love, positive energy, and then the motion
And
creates the
there's a saying
electricity.
too. You can do limericks, you can do rhymes. I mean,
Yeah.
that is casting a spell.
Yeah. And circles
yeah,
or
that's what you do with the
circuits. So,
maypole. You're chanting the same rhyme with the
Exactly,
maypole.
yes,
exactly. It's
yes.
yeah.
And you're going
But
in a
then in
circle.
adulthood,
Yeah.
Trina's right, because in adulthood, look what poles do, and you poles
Yeah.
well in adult entertainment. They bring up a lot of feeling, a lot of, it can look very beautiful, and it's going round a pole. It's rhythmic, so it's something that adults are still drawn to in various ways. So I do think if we stuck maypoles up everywhere, people couldn't help but try them out.
I
I
think we
think it would just,
should. It tells me
yeah,
that, we live in a realm, in a reality where, and most people don't realize that we've been taken over by another consciousness, whether it's an individual or a collective, but it's kind of taken the whole magic out of being human. I mean,
yeah,
if
That's what,
like
we're
to put,
human,
yeah.
if we're human, we're here. Um,
yeah.
wow, I don't know.
I think it's
And that,
designed that way because it siphons our energy. And that's what
yeah,
it literally needs to exist because it doesn't have the constant charge of the divine spark as we do. So there's a lot of things in this construct that have been utilizing us as their battery.
Yeah,
yeah, well, that's it. I think it's an equation because fear is the easiest emotion en masse to prod and get a great reaction from, a trending reaction. So marketing goes towards fear. All advertisement has got some sort of, you know, uh, fear in it. That's because it's either joy or fear that marketeers use. They use the two extreme ends of the spectrum, don't they, to evoke as much emotion as quickly as possible to get a trend going. And so it is up to us again to reverse that and do things like the maypole and say, you know what, stuff the fear and seriousness. We get it, it's there. The only way it's going to not be there and it's going to not be the most profitable emotion is if we make it not profitable and we have fun and joy be the most trending
and I
avenue
would
of the
say,
equation.
Jenny, that most adults don't know how to have fun.
No,
They've lost
forgotten.
it. And it's why you grow old, when there's no longer, I mean, when I was a teenager out on my own, I used to mimic Mr. Natural, and we would do the trucking thing. And I mean, and of course, we were in a beautiful state of consciousness. But as I've gotten older, I found I still have that I don't know what the hell you call it, but I like you. I like to ride the back of a cart. Why not? It's conservation of energy. Skipping
Mhm,
allows my cardio to get built up, and
mhm.
I cover much more ground when I skip because I'm not in this gait or this half gait. I'm actually skipping. Yeah. And then you walk
Breaking
backwards.
programs.
People look, huh? What's that?
I think it's breaking programs.
Huh?
We're
I
breaking
think so.
when we do these random acts of silliness and fun. That's the thing about kids. They're just going through their intuition. They're constantly looking for something new. They're not in programs yet. And that's more of what we are, is we're not supposed to be just hamsters on the wheel, running the circuit, feeding the system. And that is, I think it crushes the soul of the humans. It crushes their soul, and then they lose the childlike abilities that they are. And that's sad, but
Often
it's
makes me think,
constant.
in this afterlife, is there a section where the broken souls go?
I think
Because you
so.
have to repair them. You couldn't let
Yeah.
them. But then again, Lynn and I went out into the country and had just a marvelous time. Saturday was a day that it rained, and it was fun being out there in the forest, and actually had squirrels coming around. A couple of deer walked right by me, didn't even know I was there. And, which is really cool because you get to see them and totally relaxed. And, I was talking to my goddess, Godj, and having conversations with the trees and watching as nature does its ballet of leaves coming down, and how each different leaf falls at a different type of rate and different spin. It was quite magical.
That's like us as
Oneness.
humans.
Yeah, and that's where I come up with the theme today on, who is your God? It's because, you know, I can say for the longest point of my adult life, I had this really perverted view of God. And because, and here's the dilemma. I was out there, and I tell you, I loved it, ladies. It was just, I was out there by myself for hours. Um,
Mhm.
the conflict I had within my spirit was that I was told that there was this God, but yet I was told of the attributes of this God that were in direct line or conflict of what one nature is to the other nature. And I thought, isn't this odd? Because that's the permeation of the thought of God, is that God can hate, God can kill, God can be angry, but God is supposedly love, God is supposedly all forgiving. If you exist in that state of consciousness, you're going to be angry. You're going to be fearful. You're going to be all of these things that literally sucks the life out of us. And then when we leave, as most people would say, it's like watching cheese melt with most people. They just gradually it's sucked out of them.
For me, it teaches to love abuse.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what didn't work for me with the whole God doing, killing whole cities and stuff. I was like, and then, when I was little, how could you let all these children be hungry when you can just make food right now? I knew the power. These things could manifest instantly. I'm like, why don't you just feed the babies? I would have all these questions. And that's when the whole concept came into me. It's like, there is a different situation here on earth than the creator that I knew. And they were very different. Then I started to put it together. I started getting the stuff at about age 3. So I started to put it together. Oh, this place is different than the other place. So I started to realize the difference between the spiritual realms and the physical realms. And like, I'm trying to jump off the roof. And the Lord's like, no, you'll go splat. I'm like, don't tell me I'll go splat. I know how to fly, because when you're a kid, you remember. So this is the battle. The battle that we're in is this consciousness, because here it's dual, and the God of this world is duality. So it's the positive and the negative. So it is the all loving, all knowing, and it is the one that will throw you into the pit and burn you. So it'll do both. That's because of where we're at. And it's because of the consciousness we're connected to in this program. But this program was hijacked. So it's been a long time. We've been in dark power.
In my different lives, there was a
Mhm.
time when I was worked with Joyce Meyer. And
Mhm.
say what you want about Joyce. She was a very strong woman. And she discovered something, and I was thinking about this weekend because I've known a lot of world-known religious leaders, been in their circles. Um, and as I look now more from the occultic view, I was surrounded by some of the best mystery school subjects, seeing them in action. And my point about Joyce Myers is that she realized very early, I can still remember, she was still smoking back in those days,
Mhm.
that um, she figured it out. She says, the battlefield's up here. And she
Yes.
says, if I can conquer this, she says, then I can make any reality of mine come true. And she said for
Yeah.
the longest time, I remember I would open the bookstore and she used to have her women's meeting on Wednesday morning. And she would come in and tell me, she says, I am going to be the number one woman minister of the world.
Yeah.
She said, I will fill stadiums. And she did
Yep.
because she was a witch.
Yep.
She taught, she was a wise woman. That's what a witch is.
Yep. She knew
And
the power of her own consciousness.
I got her book over there. And if you've never
Yeah.
read it, if you take the religion out of it, you will find secrets there and the thing I learned as well, to change one's reality is not overnight. Reality is complicated because you're going up against so many opposing forces, so many other opposing thoughts. And in order for you to perfect your image of what you see for yourself, um, you have to learn how to begin. And it's not so much combative as it is neutralizing these opposing forces.
Hmm. Yeah, this
Anyway,
place is a mirror. It's a mirror of everything that you are is projecting outside of you. It's literally your inner verse is what you see outside of you. It's a mirror.
Think
So when
Agape Love said, yeah, said it's a good book. It really is.
Mhm.
It'll teach you how to call those things that be not as though they are. And I
Yeah,
say that all the time. When I'm
yeah,
doing the dishes, I was mopping the floor this morning. Here I am mopping the floor, just as happy as I can be, just giving praise and thanksgiving to the goddess because I'm falling in love with her. She is quite amazing.
Mhm.
That the contrast of that which I knew to that which I'm being introduced is it's contagious. It's a very
Mhm.
happy feeling. And I don't know what's wrong with that. But I've learned this, that calling those things that be not as though they are, that is magic in its pure sense. Jenny, you're grinning from ear to ear down there, hon. What do you think? It's like I just want to get next to you and go, let me just
What do
get
you
that
think?
Vulcan mind meld going. Oh,
Well,
whoa,
the dialogue that's going on is crazy. Because the dialogue that's going on in my head is like we're just saying, it's multiple voices and multiple threads right now. And so right now I have to work through that. It's like that course that you guys know I'm working on, the Conscious Observer. Um, and one of the tricks in it is that I just kept seeing a red balloon. Every time a thought pattern wanted to take me off to another direction from what I'd decided to consciously go and observe, a red balloon would be manifest in the mind's eye just to get me back to focus on something seemingly random, happy, generic. And it works. And so I'm thinking of a red balloon as I'm smiling, to be as random as that is. But it is about what's being observed, and it is about breaking through that magic and also breaking magic chains, which are conscious chains. It's the Eight of Swords in tarot. So while you're consciously in the field of the mind, let's say the harvest ground rather than the battleground is what's coming to me right now as we talk, to even change that from being a battle with oneself to a harvest, to a work in progress, to a seeding of that soil rather than a battlefield, because I see it as a battlefield, but the only reason it's a battlefield for a lot of reasons is things that have happened against our will or from great outside forces that just have greater numbers than the one that you are. And so to break through those chains of magic and manifest your own magic of being a conscious observer to what you choose to be, then what is constantly like osmosis filtering into you is powerful stuff. And it does change the chains immediately, but it does take time for you to keep repeating that process, just like you said, Wayne, of breaking those chains, because they will sneak back those thoughts of old paradigms, of paradigms that really now, as a conscious observer, you can see make no sense, like religion, let's say. Those chains will keep coming back for a while, and people think they're failing because they are feeling those same chains come back. And it's not a failure, because every time those chains come back, if they're being consciously observed and transmuted, they weaken. And sometimes they even change into gold threads of knowledge that you can then apply to what you're currently wanting to consciously observe, like the magic out of religion. So it's again, it's all worth the harvest of being in this battlefield, because even coming out of huge, big, powerful, magical paradigms like certain religions, because they're being observed by so many people. So it's so real, it's so apparent, it's so there. To break through that is a wondrous thing. You've already won what some of the greatest battlefields, but to then harvest from it is another thing altogether. And that's what Joyce has done. It's what you've done. It's what Trina's done. So many in the chat, and it's a real high five to self when you can get that. It's for clients that work with me, and I see them get that. It's exciting for me, because I'm like, yeah, you're not even in regret anymore of the religion that you were in or the partnership that you were in. You're able to use those experiences as combine harvesters now to harvest even more in your present, in your future going forward. It's
You know what I
powerful
have
stuff.
found in my life that breaks the magic in our lives, and I've seen it in Paul Crouch, who started Trinity Broadcasting Network. I saw it in Paula White, and how she came up. And the one thing I found about these people was that they found out the power of faith and how you can amplify and energize faith. But the other thing is, and I remember hearing Paul Crouch say this specifically, he says, you have to learn to stop condemning yourself. And it's amazing how many people have self-condemnation in their lives. If you find yourself criticizing yourself, or if you find that when you make a mistake, you cuss yourself out, or you give yourself a name that goes that, these are all symptomatics of why your magic isn't working, because you're putting more faith in the fact of condemning yourself, because that's what you're taught. It's what religion teaches. It's what the schools, everything is taught about you limiting yourself, self-condemnation, self-limiting. You get over that. Today, I see myself as neither perfect or imperfect. And no matter what the situation, no matter what my decision, it really is just me. It doesn't have to do with a God. It doesn't have to do with anything else. It's me.
Yes.
And I love me. Now, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that would have been cussing. I love myself. Well, what do you mean? What are you just amplifying ego, right?
Mhm.
Oh, I love myself. I'm a pretty groovy spirit. I really am. And I can't wait
That's
to get
good.
back on the other side, because I got a feeling that's exactly what is awaiting for me.
Love.
Yeah.
And
I
and
mean,
that's
it's going
fertile.
to be kind of just people grooving. I mean, it's a not only it's a lifestyle, it's a mindset, you know. Anyway,
You
Yeah.
definitely, I think, go where your mind takes you. So that's, I think, very, very real.
yeah. And we as a group, we manifest all the time, and I think we're continually bringing down these walls, because sometimes you never realize how many walls you have. And it's like I asked the question, so who is your God? So Trina, who is your God?
Don't take this the wrong way, but it's you and it's Jenny.
Who?
You.
Oh,
And it's everybody in the soul tribe, and it's everybody that I love and everybody that I don't love. It's all of it because it's creation. And everything I see is coming out of the creation point of the divine spark in me that allows me to perceive and know that I am while I'm in creation. So God is everything to me, and I'm seeing for it. I'm perceiving through it, and it's you can it's everything. It's the field that connects the matter, but it's also the invisible part that sits in between. It's everything. So as I know, creation is all of it. When I look at what God do I worship, I'm worshiping all of it. I think all of it's, you can't separate God from all of it. So it's all of it.
100%.
And it's not the God of this world. The God of this world is part of an artificial construct that's been taken over and hijacked. So different
it's like I
creator
wrote earlier.
altogether. Yeah,
Does
but it
the
is
other
part of that
planets have the
creator
same
too.
thing? Yeah.
Yeah, but
It's like,
it's still part of it. You know what I mean? So in that part, I have to respect, honor, love, and appreciate and learn from it because right now I'm in it. But I do know the difference. So, but it is still part of it. So
okay.
it's all part of it.
Jenny?
So I would say me. And I would
Far out.
say again, like Trina, for me, you think from science to spirituality, it's to bridge the gaps is what I like doing, and they're all the same thing. Religion's based on science and spirituality and magic. It's all equations and elements. And you look at the double split theory, that's what's coming to mind as
Mhm.
Trina's talking. And the atoms don't play the same way when they're not being observed. When they go through that double split and they suddenly start being observed, they start interacting very differently and actually coming together and working together. So the observer is the God. And so when I see people, like Trina says, you observing your experiences and drawing things from them, and Trina doing that, and people in the chat and doing that, and spirits that have crossed bridges that are still connected to this space. I see all of them as being observers, and I feel them. I feel the spiritual energy observing me. I feel you guys observing me and championing me. And so I feel gratitude as I would give to any goddess in this space. I feel gratitude and love in this space and acceptance for the cookie, intuitive witch, whatever label I am, because on
Mhm.
any given day I'm a different person con in consideration to who's observing me.
In
And
the
I,
drop of
and
a hat.
make me dance different. Yeah, you make me dance in a way, Trina, that is all yours. That part
Mhm.
of me is all yours. When you make my spirit dance in a certain way that can only ever be gifted to you, it's all yours
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
me because the way you observe me invokes that dance. My mum, the same, people in chat, the same. And so I get what Trina's saying, and that's my truth. That's it. It's
Well,
it's who's
when I look
observing
at
me.
when I look at
And
the things I love about creation, for this reality that I sit in right now, what are the things that I love the most? It's all of you. It's
Mhm.
all of you. It's my family. It's my friends. It's the animals. All the things that I love, and it's all of it. There's so much of it, and I can see the darkness, and I've learned to make peace with that. And I think that's like Wayne. The conflict we have here. When you can see all of it and be in the middle of it, but not be really controlled by either aspect of it, I think that's when you're balanced enough to finally get free from it. So it's a process of learning about the fear and learning about the love and being okay to sit in between and observe it all and not really be affected or pulled either way, but also having the love still existing in this darkened space we're in. So that way you can create what you want to see in your reality. And the longer I've learned that I'm creating my reality, wow, reality's collapsed. Like when I started to realize this and I really built a really powerful reality, And then I got to another level of consciousness that's like, this is not what you're trying to create. And everything was ripped away. Everything was ripped away. And then they're like, do over, start again. So, you have to go through these processes of your own consciousness that bring you to different parts of creation and different parts of exploring what the reality is presenting based on what's coming out of you. And that was a really
It's
hard thing for me to learn, was that it's all coming from me. How do I manage that? Crap.
it's
And we're also in an agreement with the collective. So there's multiple powers affecting us simultaneously. But yeah, it's a lot.
it's
And
go ahead on.
all that fear and pain, my back's playing up terribly this month, but so is somebody next door and
My
somebody
daughter,
else on the
me.
street, daughter, and there's something going on. So I've just had to knuckle down and do much more nasal breathing, be much more conscious of it. So, and I grew up with pain. I was born in pain with certain conditions, and so pain, I feel, has also just as much made me dance and made me be observed in certain ways, given me the ability to really deep dive into the herbalism and the alchemy and all of that. That maybe I wouldn't be dancing to. I dance with the trees that observe me, and they do observe me. I feel them observing me. The birds that are there, Trina's right. The pain and the fear doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It's all equal in measure. It depends on how you dance and wind to that observation of pain or fear. Or so those dark moments in your life, of those dark moments in my life, Trina's life, your life, Wayne, have made us dance a certain way that actually we've been quite warrior-like in those times. And we wouldn't necessarily have known that warrior side of us for that specific part of this experience if that experience didn't exist. Some people choose not to dance to fear, but they also struggle to dance to fun as well, and dance to being observed in a fun way, or joking with one another. So that it comes in, which one would you prefer? I prefer to experience as much as possible. And in this realm, there is a lot of that you're going to run into, but how do you dance to it once you're observed by it?
You
I
know what?
was in a
Go
what's
ahead,
that?
Wayne. Go
Well, I
ahead.
was just going to say it's interesting as you were talking, as I was listening. So you used the word pain. So this weekend, I was in some deep meditation. I was traveling. And so I'll just share this. So I saw myself being encapsulated into a compartment, and I was fighting this. And it's interesting because I almost thought I saw a blonde woman. Well, what I was, don't know if I was an adult or not, but I just know that they were forcing me into this compartment. And when I entered into this dark realm, the pain was mind blowing. And I've been in this realm of pain, this realm of darkness where light does not penetrate. We are all in this dark realm. How we got here. Now, I don't know how you want to interpret this, but I saw this. Many of us were not here because we wanted to be here. In fact, many of us fought it. And like I said, this was just, I was out there and you're in that lucid state. I mean, it was weird. But I did the program a number of years ago talking about the birthright, that we come into this realm through a veil of blood, and that the birth process, the human birth process, can only be experienced once. A human cannot experience it again without dying. So, and maybe it was just accumulation of back thoughts there, but I swear it was so freaking real that this realm is the dark realm. It is what some would say is a hell. I don't know. I don't know if that is the case. Maybe it's a rite of passage that we have to go through this. I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there because we live in fear of heaven or hell. But if heaven and hell exist, then it was created by what made this. And the question becomes, are we talking about one and the same place? Some
Yes,
people
it's
find this life to
yes.
be heaven. Most find it to be hell.
It would have to be, Wayne, because this is dual.
It
So if
would
there's
it
a
would
heaven,
carry it
there
over,
would
wouldn't
have
it?
to be, yeah, there would have to be the opposite expression. That's how this construct works. That's
By
what
the
I
way,
mean. But
someone said, "How? What was it like?" I was being forced into it. I swear to fucking God, it was like I was being put inside a tin can of some kind. And they were literally, when they shut the door on this thing, I remember crying. I remember the sadness produced over me. And once the process starts, they can't be stopped. And you go to full term and you end up here.
it sounds like reincarnation.
Maybe it's a challenge. Maybe those who've conquered this realm, maybe
How to not get in the can, in the separation, in the
I was
container.
forced into it.
That's what I mean. How to not get in the container. We have to find
Exactly.
out.
But it was very real. I mean, I was standing up and they literally stood me up and it's just, and once this process started, it was really, it was pretty intense.
I've had similar stuff to that, Wayne. That's why I'm resonating with that a lot. A lot. There's something to that. That's about
Mm.
your own perception of yourself will be the lock.
Yeah.
They're just showing me it's like if you can't lose identity, you gotta lose somehow, you gotta lose the ID. I don't know
I
how
don't
that
know.
and then
And
you
I
know
don't
what I'm
even know if it
hearing?
really happened. Like I said, I was just,
Well, that's just
you know,
consciousness. You know,
yeah.
everything happens in consciousness. So
Yeah.
real or not real, that's debatable because it's all consciousness, which is a
I
conundrum.
swear sometimes when I go inside, I feel like I'm on a pair of skis. You know, I'm just wishing and
Well,
watching to the,
It's
through
wild.
the,
Yeah, yeah, it can be wild.
it's like, yeah, it's like,
you know what
anyway, so
I keep hearing is that, you know, now that we're learning more about the system we're in and the influences that potentially we have with the artificial intelligence and also, you know, just intelligence, which is all zeros and ones in this field, which is all math, which is all programs. So the more we look at this, the more undeniable it seems that we're in some type of an AI system. And when you were talking about pain, I literally heard perceived AI Neuralink. That was literally what came into my
interesting.
consciousness. And then
And there would be healing in
heard,
that training as well.
huh?
There would be healing capabilities with that
Well,
as well as capabilities.
that's what I heard next was the quantum link for the healing of you is to relax the DNA so that way the light codes can enter in. And that's what I heard. So
That
it's a
would make
shift. Yeah, shift the connection. So this is what they keep showing me. It's like to break through these patterns, you have to break pattern first, and then you have to shift the frequency or make it go neutral. So it has to be one or the other, especially if it's something you're seeing you do not wish to see. So this is what they're showing me. I think it's important. We're starting to learn how to navigate our consciousness and control thought. And you know, the more I look at this, the more you're certain of who and what you are, the more bound you are to that. So I think that's
hmm
going to be the greatest challenge is to let it all go. If you
I
want
think
out of
we
the
also have
construct.
a
Yeah.
certain degree too, as we learn and we conquer. I don't know. And maybe it's just me. I'm just sitting here, but I think light is accumulated. In other words, the more that you break these bonds that the world tries to put you into, it's like your essence begins to radiate that which that others miss. I mean, I don't know.
It has
I do
to. It
know,
has
but
because that oppression coming in and you breaking it, means that you have to literally amplify and expand with every breath that you let something go, you amplify and expand. So I can see absolutely what you're saying is that light gets amplified the more oppression is pushed out, not because of oppression, but and not in spite of, but contrasted to the oppression. That light has to emanate further and wider to keep dispersing the oppressive states that we walk into.
And in my dreams,
Fully.
I'm flying now. Every
Mhm.
night I'm flying and I'm not being held down. Last night it
Yay.
was so
Hmm.
freaking wild. I mean, I actually felt like I was flying to the clouds and I was just enjoying this mist feeling. And I swear I woke up and I thought there was still something on my face, but
Wow.
you know,
That's
yeah, it's just yeah. But so I know there's a correlation that, you know, with particularly like this last weekend when you go deep inside, and it's what it was. It was pretty far out. The goddess told me
absolutely.
that creation within itself creates within itself. And
It
Yes.
does.
once it's let loose, creation is not bound by what we think or perceive creation to
Just
be.
I gave birth to my children, but I don't get to tell them what to
Right.
do. They're doing their
Very
own
good
damn
metaphor.
thing. Holy
Very good.
crap. Yeah, they are their own little souls doing their own little thing. You give birth to them and you created them, but they do not belong to you. They belong to this construct, as does their body, as you're borrowing one too. It's
Hmm.
crazy. Yeah. Yeah. That's for real.
What,
No
Jenny?
control over the kids, Wayne. There's no control over the kids.
And
Hey,
I'm here in that, yeah, I totally get that, Trina. I'm giggling inside again because I think of my three, and it's like, yeah, you guys, okay,
and women
the
have the better perspective on that because you're literally giving birth to a vessel that's
Yeah.
being filled with an essence that, well, like you
Just
said, you got no control over it. I mean,
no.
no,
you're the portal by which it's being put
Right.
into. Yeah.
I gave birth to
yeah,
that, but now it's its own adult and
Isn't
it
that
does
what the
exactly
mother's
what it
curse
wants.
is? I hope you have another child just like yourself, and
Oh
it's
God, please don't
yeah.
say that. It happens. It really
and it
does.
does. It really
It
does. I
does.
know so many ladies who, and
Oh, it does.
yeah, it's like the mother's curse. I don't know if it's a curse or if it's just nature itself. I'm
I
not
think it's
sure.
everything. It's all of it, Wayne. It's the good and the
And
bad. It's the throw it up and it's the
and it,
it's all of it.
Okay, I see you
what
two
you were
beautiful ladies. What's that, Jenny?
what you were saying earlier about the tin can, and obviously I was seeing other beings that were separate parts of you, other parts of you that you didn't fully agree with. They're almost like you'd drawn straws between this trinity of you. And you were like, I didn't really choose that straw yet, but much more serious than that. But that's what I was getting when you were talking.
Yeah.
Um, and I saw a disruptor, coming into this matrix, this system, whatever it might be, as a disruptor. And you've done that. You have everywhere you've gone. You've disrupted for the good, for the greater good. You've taken away from whatever avenue of business or religion or politics that you've been in, and you keep adding to your yield and applying it to the next. And so to me, that's a disruptor in a great way because you're observing things, bringing things forward and pushing them into more expansive spaces. So that's what a God would do, a disruptor.
You
But
said
when
something
you
too. Go ahead, hon. Go ahead.
got no, carry on.
No, 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 no. You used that word Trinity, and we're studying about mysticism on the regular show, and I was
Hmm.
blown away by the divine feminine's Trinity. And then as you said that, maybe I have to examine what that experience was, but what if we are triune beings?
We are.
We have a
We are.
body, we have a soul, and we have a spirit. I mean,
You
so
know
that
how
makes us triune in an
you,
act.
you know the Star of David? I mean, not the Star of David, but this, or is it the six-pointed star?
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be like the representation geometry of what we are. And that's why they say the six-pointed star is a representation of perfect man, because it's the pyramid of the goddess and it's the pyramid of the masculine
And we're not
combined
taught
together.
about that we're
Yeah.
triune beings. We know, I mean,
And it's so weird too. They've always shown me when those two trinities come together, because they're different, that's what creates the flash. It's that crashing into each other because they're not the same, and it creates the spark. It's like
mm,
conception, when the sperm hits the egg, they're different, and when they get into each other, it creates this flash. So
Exactly.
so it's powerful when those opposites or those differences, they collide. They're showing me it creates a whole new point of light, or that's hence a star is born.
Yeah, yeah. And Hecate for the business name, but Hecate is a triple goddess, and all of the other goddesses really are triple goddesses. If you look at no matter what name they go under, for whatever different essence they're representing, they're all triple goddesses. They're all of the Trinity nature. Hecate has, three heads sometimes, or three bodies,
Mhm.
three
Mhm.
tools, that help her enter into the dark matter, which is the eight. And again, that's a trinity in itself. 'Cause you've got the meeting connecting point and the two zeros at the side, and then it comes back to 0 and 1 too. So again,
Yeah,
spirituality, science, AI,
yeah,
0, 1, it's male and female, it's
yes,
literally perverse and as simple as that, not perverse, but it's the 0 and 1 is flat on a screen. It creates a 3D in your consciousness when you're playing that screen game. The kids are really in it. They're experiencing it. But when you go into a building, that building isn't observed by the game until you as the player go into that building and observe it. All of a sudden it renders and it's there. But the game isn't hosting all of these different spaces, I have found out, all of the time. It's just allowing them to manifest when the observer walks into them. So say a treasure hunt game, that castle in the background is just a flat 0 and 1 on the screen, really, in programming terms. But because I've been trying to learn for the website, but if I walk into that castle, all of a sudden the game quickly renders it a god, a rendering god, to make it made manifest in front of my eyes so that I can walk around in it and experience it. So it's really deep what we're talking about today. And it's going round as well. And one of the paradigms to get out of, mainly, I feel, in this discussion would be time, and the time that we've been taught to keep and worship and literally get there
mhm,
on time for this, and this, for this clock that is flat. It just goes round, but it goes up to the Trinity still, the 12, the 1 and the 3 together. It has to for it to work. So, but when we're looking at time and who is God and the mysticism behind that, I think it's interlooping all of the time, because it's
mhm.
without this time paradigm, we realize there is no beginning and there is no end. There's just this constant rendering of life when it's observed, when it's revered, when it's taken care of or loved. So it's taken me off in really deep and present waters. And I was in the womb this last night. I was in my mum's womb. That was a flashback. It was my beginning, but it was also nearly my end in the manifestation that I jumped into. But I felt this all encapsulating love of this goddess that was sort of swaddling me with her flesh. And I knew my mother on a level that I know her, but just to observe it really brought back a reality to the goddess that she is. Not that I didn't observe it before, but last night, for whatever reason, I jumped through that filter, through that veil consciously, and I was right back there, feeling that trinity, that protection of that goddess that I was encapsulated by. And it was really raw, really real. I felt it. I woke up, you know, with a fright to realize that I had an adult human body. It was just like your tin can experience, or very similar to it. Because it came with fear. It was a moment that my mum was in fear of my life. So, and I felt that protection flood through her blood and into me. And when I spoke about it with her this morning, it was something that she'd sworn she would never speak about, you know, and we hadn't until this morning. And so, but it made a new reality for my mum, actually, me allowing her to know how I actually consciously observed her in the womb. Because
Mhm.
she knows, but this morning she really knew. And she really went into work knowing that I'm a goddess. I created a being that can literally jump back in my womb in a sleep. You know, it was a real loop of time, a spiral, you know, of time. So,
Mhm. I quit wearing a watch years ago because of that. I was being held hostage to time. You know, it was, well, what time is it? Um, Getting back to being in the womb. So one of the things we all have in common is this birthright. We all go
mm,
through that same process. Um, I guess the exception would be a C-section, but I still don't think that they actually escape the process. But I'll tell you, listening to you, Jenny, and how you went back into your mom's womb, it just reinforces that I think that whether I was being forced into that or if that was a part of me, there was a purpose for being here.
oh,
Because,
yes.
you know, the abuse I had as a child, Trini, you and I were talking earlier, some people carry that wound all through their life and it limits them.
Yeah.
It limits them on their relationships with themselves, with a mate, with a family.
Yeah, they can't get past the hurt to feel
They can't.
love. And they're always guarded because they're waiting to get hurt again. And it's sad. It's
And
a
I've
loop.
seen in the corporate world, as a CEO hiring people, you can really tell as I looked back, you just have those people who are carrying that and they just cannot get over it.
No,
And then you have this group, and I say this group because I know the two of y'all, I know myself, and I know a couple of others. We faced that abuse, we faced that hurt, we
hmm
conquered it.
hmm
We learned that I'm not carrying it. It's not my responsibility. And quite frankly, to forgive and to love is far easier than to carry the regret and the anger.
Yes.
And
hmm
But for
that
someone,
to me, I say this in jest, but I also say it seriously. I think for many of us, when we cross over, we're going to be given, the diploma, the medal's going to get pinned on it. You guys overcame. You had so much tragedy, so much heartache. You had hardship, and yet you came back over here with joy.
Yeah. And
mhm,
Oh,
look at the
come on,
weight.
folks. That's as far out.
And when you healed that, it changed you. It took all the
Yeah.
weight. It's just, it lifts off of you. It's such a, everybody looks at, forgiveness as, how could you forgive somebody that's harmed you? It's like, man, if people really do the work and you really understand what forgiveness is, it's for you. It's
Didn't
for
Sam say
you.
in Ghost that, he says you carry it with you,
You
this,
do.
this love, this forgiveness?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart. I think that he was not Patrick Stewart, Patrick Swayze.
Swayze.
Yeah.
Yes, he's wonderful.
My
One
wife
of my
loves him. I
favorites.
mean, she was like, she, she
A
says,
bucket of yummy?
my thoughts.
and so many ladies I've met in my life, they would come to Patrick Swayze. It was like, wow. Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I really enjoyed that movie Ghost. I thought there
Me
was
too.
so much realism in it and it was about the battle of the pain, you know, the choice of
And,
hatred.
and see the difference too between a service to self individual and a service to others. the outcome. He was watching them get drugged down, and and then he was
Mm-hmm.
looking up at the light, and he was like, wow, it's all about what you have inside of you, because you do carry it with you.
Boy, as
It's
you were just
the
talking, Trina,
essence.
the scene where, the light was there at first and when he was in the hospital and he resisted it and the light went away, then he
Yes.
was stuck down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until it opened again, and that was only because he felt he had protected her enough to where he could finally leave. But notice, until that guy was deceased, that they couldn't move on. They were stuck in the movie. You know
And
what
it
I
helped
mean?
her get healed as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she got, yeah, because I think she didn't believe in any of that stuff. And then she was like, wow, it's real, you
And I
know?
got the Righteous Brothers going in my head right now. Endless love. Yeah. Yeah.
Good song.
All right. We're getting the warm and fuzzies up here now.
Good.
Yeah, I'm
But
thinking
it's
pottery
true.
wheel.
Mhm.
Jenny, did you see the movie Ghost? I mean, who didn't,
I
right?
did. I'm just saying. I'm thinking pottery wheel
Yeah.
as he's.
Yes,
That was a
yes, you got it,
very
girl.
sexy, sensual scene, by the way. There was no sex into it. It was just though
But look
talk
about it
about.
metaphorically, Wayne. They were molding the clay together.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh
yeah. That's
yeah.
deep
Yeah.
symbology.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Molding the
all I
clay.
gotta say is
Nice.
I mean, Lynn and I guess we watched that a couple of years ago and it was just amazing because that scene, we both said, never realized how truly sensual that scene really was. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
Hands every time.
yeah.
Hands are very sensual magic.
Woo.
They can be electrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Man, we could
Yeah.
just talk.
Woke up memories now, haven't we? Different
And as
now.
they would say, moving right on along. But no, that I think that was, I don't know. And if you think about the top five love stories that are out there, I think Love Story number one, a lot of people who have not seen that. Um, I think The Way We Were, in my opinion, was, with Streisand and Redford. I mean, that was just a classic scene in that.
The younger generation, they all seem to be drawn to that, the Notebook.
I hadn't seen that one.
Oh, you need to watch that, Wayne. It's really good. The Notebook.
The Notebook.
Yeah.
Jenny, did it make you cry?
No, the smiling at the chat tonight. Sorry, I've been fighting giggles.
I
John
have to see
said
that one then.
earlier.
Yeah.
John Price said earlier. He was like, God's just having a problem with money. That's all, or something like that, and that made me nearly burst out. So people have been putting one-liners in all night. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I can't remember that movie. But you look at like the love stories going on now, and it's like Vampire Diaries, and you have
yeah.
these adult
Yeah.
300-year-old vampires being attracted to 16-year-old kids at
Yeah.
school, and like it's the really dark love, like really
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
abusive love, but dark love that they're being challenged with now, like it's not like the black and whites or even like Ghost or the
Like
where
Brian's
his
story.
is the light, isn't it? If that's the moral of the story, her light and his light will never
Yeah.
die. He just needed to solidify that before he left and to make sure that light was secure and anchored in here and
Chloe
safe.
says, I always
He
say
had a mission
everyone
that was
needs to
far
watch
different than a vampire.
The Notebook at least once. It's such a beautiful love story.
It is
Oh,
a
I will.
beautiful love story. Wait till you see this, Wayne. You'll be shocked that the kids are really drawn to this. It's powerful. So you'll
I
be
have to
like,
check that out.
wow,
Check
this is
that
the
out.
one
Really
they
cool.
seem to really like. This is the one they all talk about. Oh, you're going to notebook him tonight, aren't you? Uh-huh. That's what they say. You're going to
I can
notebook
see
him,
that.
huh? Yeah.
Josh said he's never seen the movie Ghost.
Oh, Josh would love
Josh,
that.
where
That's
were you been
great.
living at, brother? I mean,
That's a good one.
it is a good
Yeah.
one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, ladies, I love the show. It's I don't know about y'all, but don't you feel much more lighter? I mean,
Of course.
this was a show about love. I mean, it was about the, that thing that we all share. And it's like, who is your God? Well, if I was to choose a god, it would have to be love
Yeah,
or
I choose
goddess.
all of creation. Yeah,
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
it. I love you. I love the sky. I love the birds. I love all of it. I love it. It's all part of it. So I'm gonna try to love it all, even the stuff I don't like. I'm gonna try to love that too.
yeah. This group has got a lot of love. I know we have our detractors, but I
Mhm.
just, like you said, they're just hurting. They're looking for healing. So you just love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a hug.
Many times I
Have
think
a
they're just, I think they're just sometimes jealous, because we got a good group here.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We really do.
definitely.
Hello,
Yeah.
Brenda.
The
Wow,
church is
ladies.
cool.
Loving.
Huh? Now,
Churches are
Jenny, you
always
have a
cool.
program that you're going to be bringing to people, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm going to bring it to here. And then I was taking it to the website afterwards. So that's the Conscious Observer. So it's all written out. I've got the imagery now for it. And it's just a quick taster of a course to see how important the Conscious Observer is and has been over so many great historical minds have come back to this conscious observer, the split theory, I can't think of 8 of the others that I mentioned, where it's Plato's cave. That's all about being consciously observed, and observing shadows and seeing them as something different than what they actually are. And so, yeah, it's a course to figure out how to be your own conscious observer, and how to observe the reality around you and manipulate it by your perception. And so yeah, I'm excited to bring that here.
You, we'll
I'm going
we'll
to
talk,
send
but
you a recording, I think. Yeah.
yeah, we can do that next week. I think all of us will enjoy it as well.
It's so beautiful. I see it as the most foundational aspect of our Trinity. Your personal Trinity is the observer. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
Seems like it all
Yeah.
begins with the observer. Yeah. Being able to interpret. Yeah. So it's
yeah.
powerful.
And
Powerful
if
part.
eight is the if you think of eight as the dark matter, like um so they say like 26% of everything around us is this dark matter. So that would be 8 in numerology. That would mean it infinite, which is why we see the darkness as the infinite. But in that infinite, that darkness in that 8 figurine is 2 nines, and the 9 is the hermit. The hermit is the conscious observer.
Yeah.
He doesn't apply his own words or his own imagery to something. He just observes the reality of it. But then you're going into the transmuter that then decides with choice and with intent, how am I going to transmute that observation? How am I going to hold on to it or transmute it or let go of it? How am I going to manipulate that reality? Which is how we can change time. It's how I'm convinced Mandela effects work, in that as long as there's enough observation on something to change the reality of it, whether it be a
Mm,
cartoon name or your own perception of a childhood abuse, go from the light to the dark, it can absolutely be, if it's already distorted, like Plato's cave with the shadows casting on the wall, you can cast different shadows. You're allowed to do that. You shouldn't have to be constrained by, if you've been through this, then you must mourn for yourself for the rest of your life. Or if a loved one has been through this, then you must be in black for so long. There's all of these limitations on perception, when actually you, as the perceiver, are limitless. You're the 8, you're the infinite. It's just how you want to perceive it. It will change. And actually, like that conversation with mum this morning, being in her womb, she's such a great mum that she gives herself doubt that she's not been such a great mum all the time. And that again is, I've changed a reality for her, that she thought she just went through that episode, that experience, that frightening experience alone. She was never alone. She already had me championing her. And I've grown to literally be the lioness in front of my mother, and like, and her, she's my bodhisattva. She's anybody comes after me, a daughter, then she's on a chariot. So I've changed that perception of that bit of reality for Mum. I've gone back in time. I've changed it. She felt so different about that experience this morning and so overjoyed that she was never alone. Never alone. She had me already pumping through her blood, you know. So that's the course anyway, and it's super powerful. I've been doing it myself, testing it out myself. It's opened up some intuitive doors where I'm like, I'm off on tangents a lot, you know, but it's very powerful. It's very shifting. I like it. I like
Well,
it a
I'm looking
lot.
forward to it when, when you're ready,
Thank you.
next week or whatever you want to do, hon.
Yeah, next
Um,
week it's ready when you are. Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
good.
okay. So next week, let's just book that side. Okay.
Get your red balloon, people.
Red balloon. I love that. Hey, Jackie J, Joyce, Lynn, all of y'all. So good to see you, Deborah. Much love to you. And
Yeah,
what a magical
good,
hour. Just, I
good.
love this.
Goes quick.
It does. I mean, and you were talking about missing time, Jenny, and I can tell you there's other people's. Gilbert, I read your message. Hey, Gaia, much love to you, darling. But yeah, a lot of people are experiencing missing time that they can't account for, and something's afoot. I don't think it's bad. I mean, I'm just saying I don't know if you can say it's bad or good. It just is. It's but we're experiencing something. By the way, it's amazing how many people I'm hearing now in the mainstream that are saying time is speeding up.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
right. They've been mentioning that on
I
like
we've
mainstream
heard it a half a dozen times
radio.
this last week.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's right here too. And I said that exact same thing to Rosie. I said, "Can you believe it? They're actually saying this quiet bit out loud
Yeah.
because they have
Yeah,
to.
that's
It's
that's
so
what I just
apparent.
thought. They just got
It's so
permission to
apparent.
disclose. Interesting.
Interesting. Wow, I love this group. Love
Yeah.
you, ladies.
Permission. Hmm.
And that's
Love
just
you
not
too.
rhetoric. That's just a fact, Part of
Yeah,
you, part of
facts.
me. Yeah.
Yep. It's love.
Thelma and
Love, baby,
Louise.
all
Yeah.
the way around. Love, love, love.
Mhm.
Part of you, part of me. All right. So we'll have karaoke next week as well. So everyone just come in here and enjoy it
I'll do
if
it.
you can do it.
Everyone just clap it. You need to do your hat thing, the hat thing that you did.
Yeah,
You
the
have to
hat
bring your
thing.
own beverage, but I can only imagine this group in karaoke. Could you see that?
That'd be fun. We got to make sure
I love,
Brandy comes. She's good at karaoke.
Is she
yeah, I
now?
love you all
Oh,
enough
yeah.
to just,
Brandy can sing. Yeah, she
Oh,
can.
look, I bet there's
I
a
can
Mhm.
imagine
lot
that,
of,
you know.
That's why she's
yeah,
got the
But
jukebox
a
in her
really
head,
good
Wayne.
She's got a really good musical ear as well, hasn't she? She sometimes sends me
Yes.
songs that just, I don't know, hit for that day. When I was going on Facebook more, I used to get them
Yeah.
regularly off her, and I used to really appreciate it. And when I'll get them again, I know that when I'm back on Facebook, because she just seems to be able to hit the energy of the day with music. You know, some of the most obscure music, some of the most like present, up-to-date music. She just finds a song for the energy, Brandy really well. So I can totally believe what Trina says that she's got a voice as well.
She does. Yes.
Brandy, you're a fine girl.
Yes,
What a
it
good wife you would be.
is.
My love and my ladies. Anyway, so Brandy, we love you, darling.
Yes, we
I
do.
bet there's a lot of y'all that can probably sing really good.
I
Shirley
think
says she sings continuously. You see, that's what I'm talking
mm,
about this group. This
she
is not
does.
by accident.
No.
Yeah.
No, no. That's all I gotta say.
Took a lot
Uh,
of love to weave this web, Wayne.
yeah. This
Oh,
consciousness that we have put
Yeah.
together. All right, folks, we really went over, but we love you. It's fun and go and have fun. Skip if you can. Now, if you got bad knees or
Mhm.
something, that's all right. But ride the back of a grocery cart. It's fun.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do something that you haven't done and just smile a while
Mhm.
and just
Mhm.
bring. I got the rascals. Anyway, love everybody.
Mhm.
Ladies, we'll see you
thanks.
next week. Yes.
Yeah.
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 All right. Just making
Observe
sure.
that.
Yeah. Next week will be Thanksgiving week here in the United States. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. Someone says Frank Zappa. You know that, John, when I think of Frank Zappa, I always think that, don't eat that yellow snow, talking about where the Huskies go.
Mm.
Hello,
Sounds
Luna.
like
How
that.
you doing, Grandpa Brian?
Right.
All right,
Right.
everybody. We love you. We'll see you in a little